Disconnect the air sensor by pressing it down and removing the clip. If you have a Tiptronic, there's a vent line connected to the stock intake tube which will need to be removed. Loosening the hose clamp and then unbolting the air box from the frame. Then pull the oil filter hose away from the intake box and remove the air box from the car. Now that the air box is out, we're going to remove the grommets. There are these rubber pieces that held in the air box. We're going to take those out. And our next step is we're going to install the heat shield. What we want to do is connect the two pieces of the heat shield by using the 3 bolts supplied in the kit. Using the supplied rubber edging, attach the edging to the top of the heat shield, making sure there are no gaps. A couple items that we got out of the way. Take the smallest L bracket and attach it to the front of the heat shield. Install the middle-sized L bracket to the oil hose clip and mount it to the rear. Don't forget the spacer that's behind the bolt. Also, install the rubber-mounted stud onto the heat shield as shown. Install the C bracket onto the saddle clamp using the hardware as shown. Install the whole saddle clamp assembly onto the rubber-mounted stud on the heat shield. Make sure the C clamp is at about a 45-degree angle so that the saddle clamp aligns with the hole. The next step is to install the heat shield onto the car. Install the inserted nuts along with the rubber grommets onto the heat shield. On some early model 996s, the middle nut is not used. Install the heat shield assembly into the car so that the inserted rubber grommets go into the mounting holes into the body. Next, you'll want to tighten the mounting bolts and install the supplied mounting bolt through the L bracket into the body and tighten. Okay, next step, now that the heat shield is secure, you're going to want to take your remaining L bracket. Now, my heat shield didn't have a hole that's in the side that's supposed to be there, so I'm going to have to mark it and drill it. What you want to do is take it, secure it onto your hood latch, and you want to take a marker and mark where those holes are. And now you're going to take a 1/4 inch drill and you're going to drill. You're going to have to take this out now, deinstall the heat shield, and we're going to drill a 1/4 inch hole into the side of the hood latch. Make sure that it's not hitting any of the cables. It's not going to interfere with the latching of the trunk. And for me, I'm going to have to also drill one end of the side here. This is what the L bracket assembly looks like. I recommend tightening this bolt first prior to reinstalling the heat shield because it's easier to get a wrench underneath the latch assembly when the heat shield's not there. Remove the fresh air supply duct from the factory air box and install into the heat shield, making sure it aligns with the bellows on the hood. Now what you want to do after you've installed the air supply duct, so you're going to mark the location of the holes in the heat shield onto the fresh air supply duct. Make sure again that the air supply duct aligns itself with the bellows on the hood. Drill 2 3/8-inch holes at the marked location on the air supply duct, reinstall it, and bolt the supply duct to the heat shield. Is to take the silicone hose 8690, put it on the barrel body and secure it with the clamp. Using the T20 Torx wrench provided with the kit, remove the 2 screws which secure the mass air sensor to the stock intake assembly. Install the supplied gasket onto the mass air adapter plate, and then, using the hardware provided, install the mass air sensor onto the adapter plate. Okay, now that we've constructed our sensor, we're going to install the sensor into the K&N hose. It's very important that you take the opening, which is the notch side, and bring it out. So you're going to install it just like that. On Tiptronic equipped vehicles, install the 90-degree vent fitting assembly onto the vent line and line it with the K&N intake tube. Place a mark on the tube for a drill location, and using a 3/4-inch hole at the marked location, drill a hole and install the supplied grommet into the drilled hole. Alright, the next step is to install the hose into the throttle body and then saddle clamp. Next, we're going to install the mass air sensor electrical connection. Pull the rubber boot back from the sensor, rotate the connector 180 degrees and reinstall the boot. Then connect the air sensor electrical connection. Next, clamp the intake tube onto the saddle clamp and around the intake hose. Make sure that the hose clamp is secure around the saddle clamp and secure all fittings. Take the air filter, and we have the dry charger. We're going to install the dry charger over the K&N air filter. Alright, once we've gotten the dry charger put over the air filter, make sure that the dry charger goes all the way around. All we have to do is put it in, clamp it up. Alright, and we're done. This is what the installed product looks like. Make sure that you have, if you're in the state that gets an emission test, make sure you have the carb exempt sticker. Make sure that it's somewhere on the lid so that you don't get in trouble when you have the inspection.